putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Fed up and just tired of paying up. So one sheriff is billing Mexico for the cost of dealing with the surge of illegals in his county. Butler County, Ohio Sheriff Richard Jones writing, and I quote, "I think it only fair that you provide me with some financial support for dealing with your criminals." Well, Sheriff, that gets right to the point. What have you heard back?
Nothing. I don't expect to hear anything right away, but it brings it to the attention of everybody. You know, I'm just one county in Ohio. There's over 3,200 counties in the United States, and I'm looking at $1 million I feel that they owe me just for their prisoners. Can you imagine what it is all over the country at 3,200 counties and the city jails? And with the free assistance, you're looking at hundreds of billions of dollars probably, Neil.
Amazing.
That is amazing. Kevin Jackson here. Also amazing. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255. A lot of money spent on immigration. Illegals. A lot of money spent on illegals in this country. The left doesn't want you to know it. They don't want to admit it, but they know it's billions of dollars every year. The left don't want to tell you the truth about things because if you know the truth, you'd never side with them. There'd be they couldn't win elections. Look, we don't have a whole lot of time. Trey Gowdy commented on Adam Schiff's obstruction. These are the people that told us they wanted to do everything in their power to get to the bottom of, all these various scandals. Open and honest, hey, we're going to let everybody know how things are. We want to be transparent. And then you get the most transparent president in modern history. The most transparent president, the guy that tells you his opinions, right or wrong, whether you like him or not, and they attack him for it. But anyway, here's Gowdy talking about Schiff's obstruction.
And we're back now with House Oversight Committee Chairman Trey Gowdy. And Mr. Chairman, you were in the middle of a thought about that footnote. Was it the footnote in the Democratic rebuttal?
It was, but Maria, this Democrat memo, it makes me smile. If it were Adam Schiff, if it were up to him, it would have been a haiku and not a memo because he did everything he could to keep us from finding out any of the information that was in either one of those memos. So Congress has proven itself incapable of investigating this FISA abuse. DOJ should not be looking into it. We need an independent arbiter. That's either the Inspector General or Special Counsel.
Now, we played this clip earlier. This is MSNBC's Brian Stetzer. I think his name is Stelter or something like that. He says that the wheels are off the Trump administration and that the Trump guys are the ones that are in trouble. And I only play this again because I want you to see just how distorted the left is on things. And then we're going to end with Don Lemon talking about, he appeared on late night talk shows, and he was talking about President Trump. I want you to hear what Stelters had to say about the Trump administration and all of the chaos, I guess, that's going on there.
I think there's sometimes a sense watching and reading all this coverage that the wheels are falling off of the Trump administration. And I think that causes some people to tune in because they want to know exactly how bad things are. But then it might cause other people just to tune out, not want to hear it, not want to try to make sense of it all. Is that something you've seen in the past, Jeff, or is this unique?
I think there is always a tendency on the part of a president's loyalists to look at negative coverage and say they're picking on him. But the difference is, first of all, you have a big counterpress. If you think back to Watergate and wonder what would have been like had there been a Fox News, a Breitbart, a Hannity pounding away at the press for being biased and liberal and leftist, you wonder whether or not it would have developed quite the same way.
Now, I talked about this earlier in the broadcast and said nobody would have gone to bat for Nixon. And Nixon, what did he do? He spied on the other guys. He didn't use the NSA or whatever. So I don't know what he did. He tried to get somebody to break in. Illegal. I wouldn't have supported him. I wouldn't be rationalizing what he did. Glad you guys are back. Kevin Jackson's who you're listening to, KJRadio.com. These people are delusional. They're full of themselves. If the Academy Awards and all the other ones, the Oscars, the Emmys, the Tonys, etc., People's Choice, American Music, how many award shows are there? If that doesn't show you that these people are so full of themselves, then I don't know what does. They want us to believe that they really know what they're talking about. I'm listening to Braun Stelter, and then I forget, you'll know the guy who's followed on. I don't know his name. I just know his face. And I listen to these guys, and I listen to their rationalizations about what they think we're doing for Trump. Look, we are not, I can tell you many people who are not happy when Trump released the budget. I know many, many millions more who were unhappy when he said he wouldn't prosecute Hillary Clinton. I know many millions more who were mad at some of his staff choices, and some of them I think are still bad. I believe he's still got far too many swamp rats in his administration. And his latest declaration that, and I know he was joking about Xi, who's the Chinese prime minister who says he should be prime minister for life, but Trump saying we should seize your guns first before you get due process. I'm completely against that. And probably a few other things he's talking about, but the things that he's for far outweigh what I'm against so far. Now, that doesn't mean I'm excusing him because he says, hey, we take the guns first and then we check you out. No, you have to check me out and then take the gun. And when you're checking me out, there has to be checks and balances against that, because the leftists will they can go see as many shrinks as they want and get colonics and have all kinds of nutty things that they do with their lives, but you do it and they'll call you crazy and take your gun away. The gun grab's happening, folks. In case you weren't aware, if you have a domestic violence, I'm talking about a woman slaps her husband because she catches him cheating or whatever, and it's in front of a cop, or he says, if the cops show up for whatever reason, he says, well, she slapped me, she's going to jail and she can no longer own a firearm. It's that simple. I was looking at Heather, what's her name? Heather Locklear. She was in the news, Knots Landing or something. Used to be. I never thought Heather Locklear was hot. You guys are too young. Don't even look at me. I never thought she was hot. I always thought Heather Locklear looked like dressed up white trash. Truly. And she got role after role. I'm talking about in some of the top shows. And I just never thought she was that big of a deal. And then they showed her now. She's much older, and it was her mugshot. And she looked road hard and put up wet. But she apparently slapped her husband or somebody and got arrested for domestic violence. She can't own a firearm. Woman, male, doesn't matter. Now, I want you to look at the lifestyle of many of these kids growing up with latchkey, environments, no fathers, and okay, good example. When the cops killed, he got killed, thankfully, but it was a black dude in Minnesota who the cops responded because he was beating up his wife, and when the cops went to get him, he tried to get the cops' weapon and they shot him, and people were mad at the police, the very people they had called, because this man was beating up his wife and nobody wanted to stop him. So they were mad at the police for killing him and he was beating his wife. And there were black people, hey, they killed that man in cold blood. What? But anyway, my point to the story is many of these young black men have no ability to deal with their anger and things like this. They're going to catch a domestic violence thing and can't own firearm, period. And if you ask me, if you look at the cycle of how the left is doing things, that's what they want. If you're a black man with a gun, it has to be illegal. And it reminds me of the case in St. Louis where the guy was trying to do a heroin deal, and the cops, you can see the film, they do a high-speed chase. They finally catch the guy, shoot the dude, and they said the cops planted a gun. And I asked the question of some lefty on a radio show or whatever. I said, well, where was the other gun? And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, if the cop planted a gun, where was the black dude from the hood who deals heroin's gun? And he still didn't quite get it. And I said, where was the heroin dealer's gun? To make him understand that black people in the hood dealing heroin don't do it with nunchucks. They do it with a gun. So my point is, any black kid growing up, pretty much that has a gun, if he lives in that cycle of violence, there's an easy way to confiscate his guns and to make sure that he catches a federal charge and ends up in prison because he's got a gun. That's all I'm saying. And the left love this. They love the idea of a gun grab where you don't even realize, oh my gosh, and by the way, it could be something as small as slapping your wife, slapping you, or your girlfriend slapping you. That's enough to get a domestic violence. Anyway, that isn't even what I was going to talk about. I wanted to talk about labeling Donald Trump, but we're out of time.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.